This video is Chapter 7, Practice 3, which will demonstrate the petty cash journal entries. Petty cash is a fund that many use to pay small amounts in cash from the office. They may have a petty cash drawer in which they put $200 or so in it every month so that they can pay for postage or other miscellaneous expenses that may come along. So to begin with, you have to establish that fund, and so all we're really doing is transferring from one asset to another. So we debit petty cash, which is an asset, and I believe they told us $200, and we credit cash, $200, and that establishes $200 in a petty cash fund. We can then cash the check and put it in the petty cash drawer. The other entry occurs during the month or at the end of the month when it gets pretty low and we don't have much cash left in the drawer. So then we need to take all of the petty cash slips out and debit those expenses and then credit the cash. And so in this case we'll start with telephone expense. So each time you take cash out of that petty cash drawer, you need to complete a slip and say what it was for, so that you can do these journal entries later when you replenish it. There was also something taken out for personal use. Postage expense of $12.50. Charitable contributions expense, $15, and miscellaneous expense of $49. And then you want to credit cash for those. So we're going to use my spreadsheet and put those amounts in. $17.50, $33, $72, $12.50, $15, and $49. And then sum it. And it's a total of $199 credit, and this is called a combined entry. We did one of those when we were closing our expenses account. And then check your work. And that's it for replenishing petty cash. Practice problem 4 has to do with short and over entries, such as working in a store that has a cash register, and at the end of the day you have to count your cash to see if you are on target for what you should be. So what I would do is take this table of information, this will make it faster, and paste it into a spreadsheet, and it removed my borders, and I like to have my borders, so I'm just going to put them back in there. Okay, so each time it has a change fund of $100 in it for every day, and here's how much the cash receipt register receipt amount is. So it's what they've collected minus it's what they've collected for the day, and then here's what they have actually counted in the day. So we're going to add a column here so that we can total these two. And by using a spreadsheet, you can fill it down and don't have to keep doing a lot of adding. And then we can compare the two there. So the actual cash, short, or over. So in this case, we counted $352.50, but what should be in there is $368.50. So are we short or we're over? The way to do that is to take what you actually counted minus this column. And when you do that, it helps if you put a minus and not an equal sign. Anytime it gives you a false, that means you put an equal sign accidentally. Okay. So I'm short $16. I know that because it's in red. If you subtract the correct E3 minus D3, now don't do D3 minus E3 because then it won't come out right, and then fill it down. And so you can see that 3 of the days you were short and 2 you were over. Rarely, unfortunately, that you come out exactly right. Okay, so we can look at that. The other thing is when you're doing your journal entries, you'll want to be sure that you have studied in your book the page like this one that shows the journal entries and whether they are debits, what you debit and what you credit. So in this case, the first one is the shortage. When you have a shortage, you're going to debit cash and the shortage account, and you're going to credit service fees. So we're going to put our accounts here: cash debit, cash short and over debit, and a credit to service fees. Then we just have to figure out the amount. So our cash amount, okay, so I'm going to do one more column. So our cash amount would be equals the $268.50 plus the $16, which would give you $252.50, and I'm just going to fill that down. So $252.50, and this one's $16, and of course your credit has to equal that, so it's the equals $252.50 plus the $16, $268.50. Now keep in mind that you can click on after doing just one and see if you're on the right track. Check your work to see if that was accurate, and it was. Of course it'll mark everything else wrong, but that's fine, so because you can always check it again. So that was accurate. Okay, so the next one is going to be very similar to that because it's also a cash shortage. So I would do a debit to cash short and over, and a credit to service fees. The amount that you're going to debit for cash can be found in this column, $233.50. And the credit, or the debit, sorry, to cash short and over, which is $425. And then add those two together to get the total of $237.75.